Hello everyone, welcome to Lighthouse Stamping with Lorraine. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Vancouver, Washington. Thank you for joining me today. Before we get started, the housekeeping notes, all the product I'm using and all the dimensions will be listed below. There's a link to my online store if you wish to purchase any of these products. And finally, remember to like, share, and subscribe and help me grow in YouTube world. Excuse me, my throat is still on the raspy side. I don't know why. They tell me it's going to go away. Anyhow. Last Thursday, we made this gift box. I'm not going to open it. I've got it all nicely packaged and stuff, so I'm not going to open it again. But if you want to see inside and see the little mini stationery, look at last Thursday's video. And I told you today we would make a gift bag for it. Now, this is the first box I made with the bumblebee paper. And this is the bag. It's a very cute little bag, designed specially to hold this. You can put a few other things in it. And this is all retired paper. So you can't be using that one unless you happen to have it. And this is the golden cherry cobbler ribbon from last year. And it fits in there. And I was going to put some tissue paper on to show you how you can put some colored tissue paper and stuff in here. Went to find tissue paper and discovered I'm out. And so we got to go get some at the $1.25 store. That's where I buy that tissue paper stuff. Anyhow, that is the bag we're going to make today. Now, on this first bag, I used a regular hole punch. And then I forgot that I had some other hole punches that would work probably better. These are called the Hole Punch Assortment. And I put the number is 165409. I will put it in the description below. But I thought this one right here would work so much nicer and hold a knot much nicer in your bag. This is a 1/8 inch punch, very tiny. And this one's got a little lip on it. But we'll use this one. But either will work. Any punch you have that's small enough would work. So what we're going to need is, to start with, is 2 pieces of 12 by 12 paper. And this is the Traditions of Christmas paper I've chosen. You do need to make sure that whatever's on the back side looks good with the side you want out. First one I pulled was all of, hang on, I'll show you. And it would work. First piece I wanted to use was this one. Very pretty. But when I flipped it, it was green check, and it just didn't do it for me. So that's what you want to look. Make sure that you have something that you like on the back side as well as the front side. You know, it would work, but it's not what I wanted. So check that. So we're going to need 2 12 by 12 of DSP, but we are going to trim it down. So we're going to grab the trimmer. And it's very little trimming. And you want a piece of paper that is really not directional. This one somewhat is, not totally. So I want to make sure that I have set, because they are identical. There we go. I want to make sure that I cut these going the exact same way. Like I said, they're not totally directional, but I think if you don't follow the pattern, it might throw it off a little bit. So I can tell from these right here that I've got to go in the same direction. And you can cut these at the same time. They're thin enough, or you can cut them singly. And I'm going to put my glasses on, and we are going to take this down to 10.5 inches. So line them all up. Make sure everybody's in here nice and square. Yeah, everybody looks good. Check your measurements twice, cut once, you know. And we have 2 little strips we can use for something else later. Now, you could do the rest of this on your trimmer if you want, but I am going to switch to my scoreboard because I really do like my scoreboard. So we're going to do this 1 page at a time. And I'm not turning it. I've still got those 3 flowers and those 3 flowers right in the corner. So this is the 10.5 here. And this is the 12 going here. When you do this and you're scoring on, especially on foil DSP, but any DSP, there's 2 sizes of nibs on your scorer. Use the fat one. And do not press too hard. This is paper, not cardstock. And on the 10.5 side, we are going to score at 7 and 10. And then we're going to rotate it 90 degrees. So now the 2 score lines are closest to you. And you are going to score at 3. Then you're going to flip it directly over. So now the score lines are up there. And 10.5. So that's the scoring on the first piece. So I didn't turn this. I've still got my 3 flowers, right? Actually 3 there and 3 there. So we're going to score this. It's 10.5 by 12. We're going to score at 7 inches and 10 inches. We're going to rotate it 90 degrees. So the score lines are closest to you. We are going to score at 3. And we're going to flip it directly over. Now the score lines are closest to the top. And 10.5. And that is all the scoring on this bag. So now we're going to take and grab my bone folder here, and we're going to start burnishing everything. I'm going to start with this side here. Come down here and do this end. Make sure everybody's lining up square and that you didn't score it a little crooked. Now this one, where we scored from this side, the bump is on this side. So that means we are going to take it this way and fold it back on itself. Like that. So that's what we have so far. And we're going to do it to the second one. And I'll start exactly the same way. Do the little pieces here. Just fold this bottom piece in. I love making my own gift bags and packaging. I think it adds a personal touch. And this is the piece we're going to fold back on itself this way. Now, if you forgot to flip this over at some point when you did the scoring, just rescore it on this side, but be very careful when you're folding because you've broken the fibers from both sides and they can possibly crack. That's actually what happened on this bag. I forgot, and I got a little cracking right there, but it's not enough that I'm going to worry about. So here's the first piece. We're going to need our scissors. And we are going to cut up our score line. We want to make sure we don't leave the score. We're cutting right on the score line, just like that. We're going to cut up this side here, this little piece. And then I'm going to wedge this little piece in right here. And then I'm going to take here, I'm just going to take miter in ever so slightly. This is to make sure that it folds really nice. And I mean, you can tell I'm basically removing the score line. So that's it for the bottom. I'm going to flip it around to the top, and there's this little teeny one right here, and we're going to wedge that off right like that. Now, if you are working on your paper and you cannot see your score lines from the front, flip it over and cut from the back. It's not going to make any difference. But, you know, make sure you can see where you're cutting. The red paper here, I had to cut from the back, the first bag I made. Just one moment. As I'm flicking iced tea all over me. Okay, and we'll do the exact same thing so you can watch it again. Just cut straight up that score line. We're going to cut straight up this score line. We're going to wedge that in slightly. Make a little miter cut on that. And a little teeny one on that. And go to the top. And miter that in slightly. And that is all of the cutting. So this is what you have. This, your tab, and this. And this is for the garbage can. Okay, so let's start with this piece here first, this top piece. I'm going to be using tear and tape. I'm going to be using tear and tape and glue today. And where's my card? I have an old, it's going to be a credit card. This happens to be a Starbucks card with no money left on it. Because you can tear this very easily, yes. But you can use a block too. I gotta get this water. I just realized I have tea over here and I don't need to get my stuff into it. I just find pulling the tear and tape off is hard on my hand. So I use that instead. So if you're having problems with your hands, that works. I'll show you a block too, so you can see it. We'll do the block next. We'll do this piece here. So let me grab a small block. Not that small. Just a small block that has ink on it. Let's get that off. I don't know why it still had ink on it. It'd been clean. I thought cleaned and put away. I didn't do a very good job the other day, evidently. Now we'll put this here. You can take a block and do the same thing. So if you have hand issues, you know, arthritis in those hands that don't want to work some days, there is ways to get around. It's easier than picking up a pair of scissors because it is able to tear. But an old card works really good. And then we're also going to put tear and tape on this strip here. So we put 2 strips there. And a strip here. And a strip on this one. These are actually pretty fast to make. I mean, you could do all the cutting and scoring on all of them. And then sit down and put all the tape on. And at a point, you could leave it and not assemble it until you're ready for it too. And I'll show you at that point. So there's where we've got all the tape. So the first one we're going to do is we're going to take this off. And we're going to fold that down. And I'm going to run my bone folder along there. And then what I'm going to do is where this fold is right here, I'm going to refold that and give that a little burnish. Because we've now got 2 thicknesses there. Okay? Do the same thing to this one. This little fold right there. Give a little press. Okay, so now we have our 2 pieces here. I'm going to move some tear and tape strips here so I have them flying everywhere on me. Okay, next we're going to take this piece here and hook it on to this piece. Now, with tear and tape, you're only going to get 1 shot. So you need to line up and you need to turn this so you can see where everything's going. And I'm holding it at an angle so I can see where that fold line is, that score line. Because I want to line up those 2 score lines. Top and bottom, the seams, and right at the score line. Just like that. So when you flip this over now and fold this one over like this, you can bring this one over. And once again, I'm going to still make sure that everybody's lining up before I commit myself. It should line up perfectly. So there we go. Now, if you wanted to make a whole bunch of bags and leave them flat until you're ready to use them, this is where you would stop. Make a whole stack of them. And you could actually put the holes in now if you wanted. But you can make a whole stack, and then when you're ready to fill them, you could finish assembling them. But I'm ready now, so. Now I'm going to flip this up and fold that one down, and I'm going to fold that one down slightly. I'm going to put glue on these two flaps here. This is where I'm switching to glue. Glue strengthens your paper, and you need it stronger on the bottom. Now, this was designed for this project, so it doesn't need to be reinforced. If you wanted to do this and put something else in it that's heavy, you would cut a small piece of paper that fits the bottom of this, which means it would be, a little under 7 inches by 3 inches, roughly, and put it in the bottom. Use whatever color is the predominant color in your paper, so it doesn't show up too much. So I'm just pulling that, I'm just tapping that right in there. It's not, we haven't totally committed yet. That's why you can use glue for this. And then we're gonna put glue all over this. But glue strengthens paper. And then fold that one in. Make sure everybody's nice and square, the way it's supposed to be. See? Then flip it over. And there's actually enough room. You can take your hand and push down in this bag. Just like that. Okay? Now we're done with that glue. And I got to get some glue off my finger just a moment before we start fooling with ribbons. Now I pulled out the, what is this called? Just shimmer, shiny ribbon, red. And you're going to need about 20 inches roughly. There's 10, 20 inches. Where's my small snips? Those red scissors don't work good on ribbon. And so you need 2 of them. So we measure out 1 and then do the second one off of the first one. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and set my box in here. Goes in sideways on its side. And then I'm just going to pinch this. And like I said, you'll be putting tissue paper in there. There's a little bit of room. You could put a couple other little things in. And so what I want to do now is put my holes in for my ribbon. Like I said, you could use a regular hole punch, but I thought I'd use this one today. Don't know how it's going to work. And what I want to do is sort of eyeball it and go come down about, I'm just doing an eyeball guess. Okay, I'm coming down. See where the punch is hitting the paper, the edge of the paper there? That's about where I'm coming down. So I'm right there. And try to space over about the same distance from the other side. It's a little awkward to do from at an angle. Okay, open. So we got those, and then we'll come over to this side. They don't have to line up exactly, but you want to try to do it pretty close. And the last one. But just find a way to do a guide. So like I said, I'm using the end of the paper there. You know, you can measure it all out if you want to, but I'm not going to go to that much detail. So then what we're going to do is we're going to be running this ribbon through these holes. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tie a couple knots in my ribbon. Sorry, get my hands back in here. Using that slit of a knot, I think 3 would work just fine, because it doesn't have as big as opening as, it's not as big as the actual hole. Now I'll slide that through so the ribbon's on the inside now. Slide this one through. And make 3 knots at the end. there's one handle. And if this is too long for you, you can always clip off a little bit. Here we go. And then we'll do the other side here. So I'm tying 3 knots again. This is a great project if you want to do with new paper or old. I mean, if any of you like me, you have a lot of DSP that's left over. I have, well, you know the box our DSP comes in when we get a new shipment from Stampin' Up. And it's about, what, 4 inches high? 5 inches, 4 inches high. I have 3 of them full of Christmas DSP. So I have a lot to choose from. And I find that's really good stuff to use for packing. I mean, unless you're to have it set aside for some other project, you know, use up what you have too. But, you know, if you want the new stuff, go for it too. It's all available on my online store. And that is our little bag. We're a little long on this one, so I'm gonna put one more knot in this. That's the other thing you do with knots, is I'm looking how balanced I am. Now I'm more balanced. So if you're off a little bit, and I'm gonna trim that one a little bit. If this one's like a little longer than that one, just put another knot in and that will solve your problem. So that is our gift and our box and our bag, all ready to go for Christmas. So thank you for joining me today, and I will see you on Thursday. I haven't decided what we're doing. It'll be a surprise because I haven't designed anything yet. So I have a feeling a few videos in the near future will be ones where I just sit down and start crafting in front of you and we see what we get. I always like those too. They're fun. So anyhow, thank you for joining me today. Hopefully you make this gift for somebody. Like I said, it's room for postage. You could put a little gift card in there for a store, or you could make your own little gift card and give them refills of your cards. So I think it's a nice gift, and I know several people I'm giving this to will really enjoy these. So everybody, thank you for joining me, and I will see you on Thursday. Goodbye.